Thank you for spending time here with me tonight. I know you're very busy, all of you, so it's truly an honor and a privilege to be here with you all. And again, thank you for making the time and space for us. So I don't know if this is your first time in XI where you have any concept about XI. XI stands for exponential intelligence. It's a fast track to enlightenment. So my name is Faye. I know Masati for 13 years, and I have been supporting XI and Masati for the last 13 years from day one. I used to joke with Mas saying XI is our love child. And now, after 13 years, I realize I am the child of XI. He actually raised me. I didn't give birth to XI, and I didn't give birth to XIWoman. I think XI gave birth to me, so now I am an XIWoman. So for the last 13 years, it's the most meaningful. We had countless moments of exhilarating joys and excruciating pain, and the growth is exponential. So Mas, as you know, he has the abilities and responsibilities that I don't have. But as his wife, I've cultivated mental fortitude, emotional maturity, and the spiritual muscles to hold the space for and keep up with the constant expansions of his abilities and the growing demands of his responsibilities. You know, when I was younger, I always tried my best, but I never knew if my best was good enough. And now at this stage of my life, when I'm good, I know I am good. So I can say that for the last 13 years, I've done a good job supporting XI, loving Moss, nurturing the family, building the business from the first-hand experience. I know what a woman can do. I know the woman's power, influence, and impact. But I'm just one woman. I can only help one man, one family, one mission, one business. I can be out there helping another cause. But what I can do is now I can get behind the women of the world so they can have the XI consciousness and be the very power source for the men in the world. And that's the very reason why this world is beautiful, sensuous, and abundant. So I would love to share some of my observations. They're not judgments, but just observations of how women currently operate. From my observation, I saw that lots of women, successful or not, we act from the space of desire, but that desire is against what we don't desire. Let me make it more clear. For example, if we really want to get married, right? But lots of time, the reason to get married, that we want to get married, is because we don't want to be alone. We don't want to be not wanted. We don't want to be feeling not safe, not secure emotionally, financially. But it's not because we want to build this grand future, want to experience God's sacred union with the man, want to see if there's infinite potential that we can harness from within us. So because the space we're acting, the space that we're manifesting is from what we're not wanting. So we're in the end, we're getting more of what we're not wanting. Mas always say, whatever you reference with, you get more of what it is. So it's not like it's good or bad. It's just limited. And another side is limitless. So for XIWoman, we're acting from this space of limitless, not the space of the limited. And also, I would like to share, when I was growing up, I watched my mother. She is one of the most powerful, most successful women that I know in the whole world. And it was her, I loved her competence, her confidence, and her accomplishments. But there's always something a little bit off. And not until now, I'm in the age that when she was having the amazing success, I realized what she's working from is the force. It's the force is from sacrifice, lack, sacrifice, control, scarcity, fears, anxiety, and worries. And she's not acting from the space of power, which is way more expansive, way more effortless, and is much more in alignment, and it has infinite possibilities. So
Yeah,
it's,
I
yes,
think, well, what Faye was talking about, though, her mom, she actually was one of the most powerful women in China. So not just in Faye's eyes, but she she was a high level executive in China, guys. So it's not just Faye's little eyes on how she sees her mom. She was in a man's world and she dominated that space.
yeah, she
Anyway,
absolutely dominated, male dominated industry. She was sitting on top of the oil industry. And as a little girl, I was following her around, and she was negotiating international oil deals with the Soviet, with the Europeans, with America. So I watched her. I was so in awe. And but there's something that wasn't quite right. She was always very stressed out. She was not very happy, and she was always very worried. And she's very her health suffered. So at the time, I didn't quite understand. I was thinking, if you're so amazing in this area, every area should be amazing. You should be happy, like who you are, where you are. But she didn't seem to be happy in her personal space. So later on, I realized because she is sourced from this space of force, she didn't use her feminine power. She's using lots of masculine force. So in XIWoman, we're aiming to embody this feminine power from the space of limitlessness, from the space of expansion. So it's
and
power versus force. Yes.
yeah, and Faye's, brings up a lot of great points. And she was talking about Faye was talking about, she supported me, she supports the kids, and she supports the family, and the other kids and the business and all that. But we hear that, but then especially if you're new to XI, we go, well, I do that too, and so what she's how she supported me was very different than most, say, people when they think support. So, and that's what, again, it really, really needs some clarification, and that's what sets the XIWomen series apart. Anything bar anything else that's out there in the world, guys. So what Faye started to realize was she was going down that path of her mom, right? Sacrificing herself, sacrificing her identity, sacrificing her womanhood as, being a woman. Now I got to be a wife. Well, you sacrificed yourself being a wife. You sacrifice yourself being an identity of a woman in society as womanhood. You sacrifice yourself. Now I've got kids to take care of. You sacrifice, now you're a mom, right? So, but then this version dies right here. So the way Faye supported me, and over the years, again, this is the biggest thing that she's learned is that she's here's the takeoff on that, by the way. When you start sacrificing yourself to please other people, it never ends out good. It never turns out good. Look at statistics, look at society, look at your own life. No matter how much you love somebody, yeah, it always feels good, but then there's always that incompleteness, right? No matter how successful people are, right? Even Faye's mom, one of the high success, in China. But again, very, very incomplete, very, very empty. A beautiful woman, but again, empty inside. She didn't feel the vibrancy of, say, an iconic XIWoman. So what Faye discovered, and that's what's in, the XIWoman series, is like, it's not just what she talks about, it's about her frequency, her essence, her presence. And when she talks about that, she didn't help me. Okay, she didn't sacrifice herself. She didn't create lack in her own identity. What she did was she found who Faye was, and as a reflection of that, right, that helped me understand who I was. And then which helped her understand who she was more. So it's just this beautiful, harmonious, say, dance as we go higher and higher. And it's quite amazing. And and you really have to realize, although she might be saying, well, I took care of, moms, I took care of the kids. Yeah, she did. But the key is what was the equation that she used? Was it sacrificing? Was it eliminating? Or was it destroying herself? Or did she find her identity of who she is? And now she's this powerful, iconic XI woman that can do all that and be even more.
Thank you. Well, on a personal note, it's very interesting because I grew up watching women, that matter which nationality, which culture. Every successful woman always, almost always have the same trait. They're stressed out. They're not really personally happy, and they still have deep insecurities. And there's always some feeling of not enough, and they seems to not be able to truly enjoy their success, truly live up to this image they build. So when I'm working with Moss and when the business going very well, the family's going very well, all of a sudden I realized, how come I don't get stressed out? And not to trivialize the things that we've been through, the things that we have experienced in the last 13 years probably will damage most people spiritually and psychologically. But but
Relationship wise as well.
yes, yes, I see a couple going through similar situations and it puts so much stress on the relationship. And sometimes they just break up or they don't communicate or they start to withhold information from each other because they can't deal with that much stress. But anyway, as Moss and I moving through life in the last 13 years, with each challenge, and they're no joke, each challenge is like a novel level of drama and traumatic for most people, not for us. But each time we go in, and sometimes we're going with a team of people, sometimes we're going with this group of soldiers, and often 99% of them, they don't make it. And here's Mars and I going to the next level. And then there's a new group of people coming around us. And then there's another huge challenge or a level. And then 99% people don't make it. And then Mars and I made it again. Every time we grow stronger, closer, wiser, and then we go to the next level, next level. It's a lot like the video games, right? Each time you go on level, the devil or this demon just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And as Mars and I will get stronger and stronger and stronger. One thing I noticed about myself along the way, I actually hardly ever get stressed out. And the challenge I face is bigger than normal people can even imagine. And I didn't even understand why. I just thought this is normal. And then when I look around, people get stressed out over the smallest things. And then I realized I don't really get stressed out. And I actually grow more loving, more compassionate, I have more humility, and I have more courage. And how did I do it? I didn't really intentionally go, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just not gonna get stressed out. No, it's just very, very natural. But I believe if I can do it, anyone can do it. Because my life is really every woman's life. I'm a woman. I'm made by the same frequency, energy, and everything as everyone. If you ever watch a documentary about this nature documentary, underneath a thin layer of earth, all the roots and the 1,000-year-old tree is connected to a blade of new grass. Everything's connected underneath. And as human, as women, we're connected as well, frequency-wise, energetically, through quantum entanglement. We're all connected. So if I can do something, you absolutely can do and can do even better than I. So I reverse engineered a lot of things. I come to realize how I did it, and I'm more than happy to share. And there's so much magic and priceless information to share. It'll be a lot of fun. So
Absolutely. Do you want to go into some
yeah,
of the key components of the coursework?
I will now. Let me pull it up. So
Uh,
yes,
I was just going to say there's a lot of great comments. Kate said that she saw you in Melbourne in New Zealand, and basically she's saying that you never needed to control anything, but you're at that level, you don't need to control. Okay, you can just be, and you control the room, and it becomes really, really harmonious, which is
Yeah, yes, that's the thing about controlling. Again, when we operate from the force, not the power, the forceful energy is more of a manipulative, controlling, and compensating energy because you're acting from the place of scarcity, lack, sacrifice, and control. But if you act from a power space, it's really just wild and free and limitless, and anything that's happened for you will be aligned. So again, that's what I realized later because I'm acting or I'm operating from this space without me knowing, because this work, XI, exponential intelligence, I naturally render myself in this time space reality. And it's available to all of us. So,
absolutely. That's our sovereign state.
mhm.
And as a note, I mean, Faye gave me a lot of credit, and thank you for that, sweetie. But again, it's the natural state of natural intelligence that's been around for billions of years. I didn't develop it, design it. I did clean it up so we understand it a bit differently. And some people don't might not even understand me. So Faye's here as say the because I get too much into the science, but it is a natural state, and Faye's here to really bring it down home to say, from a woman to woman type frequency. And if you're a guy, obviously this is a great course for you as well to understand how, say, true proper women should be if you're really discovering, if you really want to be an XI man, learn, what the opposite sex is about, learn what femininity is about. So it's not just for women, guys. This isn't like excluding anybody, but it's about bringing people and understanding how women should be treated, which is highly, highly important. Because if they're strong men and they know how, say, a woman should be treated, that energy sends out, guys, and then that those women around you will start to accommodate or come or rise to the level of what your expectations are, right? Which is really important. That's how Faye, say, controls the room. She has a certain expectation, and then she literally guides everybody to hold their highest standards. Um,
Thank you. Actually, I don't control at all because it's just so much work. Even I want to do it, I won't do it. It's just so much work. It actually never entered my mind to try to control something. But you can elevate, you can inspire, and it actually is way easier than trying to control something because that's constant effort. Vigilance is just it's not sustainable. I would like or all the XI women will be in the frequency presence of abundance, not depletion. We will act from unconditional love, not transactional agenda. And this space is, like I said, it's wild, it's free, it's limitless. It is not lack, sacrifice, and control. And as for men, I know it's not a program specifically for men, but it will definitely benefit men. And it's not a man hating program. I know women blame men for lots of their pains. Maybe, maybe so. I think what the feminist movement got wrong is they were condemning men for like behaving like pigs. Maybe they're right, but where they're wrong is they were advocating for women to also behave like pigs. So let's reverse that. Feminist movement make the feminine less feminine. So for XI women, it's not about teaching you to be more feminine or less feminine. It's about to be true. And I know as far as man and woman relationship, unfortunately, still till this day, 99% of the men can kill 99% of women with their bare hands. They're still so much stronger. But 100% of the women can kill 100% of the men with a word, with a look. We can completely break their spirit. So it's not really a women's empowerment program. This is more like a men's empowerment program when we heal the women, because unhealed women will inflict so much pain on the men in their life. And those unhealed women will take revenge on their sons. In this world, I think men protect women physically and women protect men spiritually. We need to take care of each other. So women should be a source of creation, definitely not source of distortion. So here comes the core process of XIWoman. How it started is it was a year and a half ago, maybe. Yeah, exactly a year and a half ago. We're taking a cruise on Tahiti cruise. And every night I just felt like I love cruises. Every night I felt like I was rocked in mother's womb. It was so nice, so nice. And all of a sudden, it came to me, some visual of mother's womb come to me. And it absolutely made sense. I checked with Moss and imagine you're in mother's womb. I want to show you something for now. Let me see. And then you see what I'm talking about. Let me share this.
Hmm?
Can you see this, Moss? Can you see this?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So look at this. That is our ancestry, the possibility of how many people in your lineage. It's for your one person to exist. Let's look at in the 18th generation. More than 1 million people had to be there for you to exist there today. But we're going way deeper than 18 generations. It could be easily 180 or 1800 generations. But just look at right now, just pretend we have 18 generations. We'll have 1 million people came before you. That means you are carrying those million people's genetics and all of their distortions. If only one distortion per person, you're carrying over 1 million distortions. So what I realized is in, excuse me, in the womb, you're communicating all those generation passed down the codes, the frequencies, the belief systems, the programming, the conditioning. It's all communicated through you. You're eating it on it, you're feeding on it. It becomes part of you. That's who you are. That's your nature before the nurture. And at the same time, there is also the similar amount of information, the energetic print from your father in the womb, and also all the lovers that your mom had before your father. So all the information is in that womb. You're pretty much swimming in that soup of human consciousness or unconsciousness in the womb. You've been programmed. But at the same time, there is also 1 million generations of brilliance, light, and power that's untapped. It's also in you. But at our level of consciousness, people may not realize that deep down who they really are. So we're born with so much mother's womb that's already embedded in us. People are saying that we are a blank slate, that we're really not, or blank canvas. We're really not. We're like the culmination of everything, everyone that came before us. So at first I'm thinking, oh my God, we are already so wounded when we're born already. And on top of the problem, the distortion in the nurturing and this programming from the nature, what do we do? So I was thinking at the time, I was thinking we need to look into each womb, mother's womb that we already have collectively as women. We need to work on them one by one by one by one, bring awareness to it, bring integration to it, bring expansion and transcendence. So some of the major womb that this program will cover. Oh, give me 1 second. Okay, so some of the womb that this program will cover are wound of self-worth and value, that our feeling of never enough, despite how successful that we are, the need for validation, performance, and wound of overgiving and burnout, how we always measure our worth with the material, how much work we do, all the conditioning for to care for everybody's struggle with no boundaries, right? And wound of worth tied to the productivity, and wound of abandonment and betrayal. We all understand that. Wound of suppressed feminine power, wound of comparison and perfection. Every woman understand this one. Wound of unacknowledged pain, wound of generational silence. And we didn't have a voice for thousands of years, but now we do. Wound of survival and poverty consciousness. Wound of lineage, generational sexual trauma. Wound of unfulfilled potential. Lots of women, my friends I know in their 40s, 50s, 60s, thinking, that's it, I waste my life doing nothing. But that is a fallacy. And in XIWoman, we'll reverse that, and you'll see the frequency in it and how much more potential you actually still have. Next, wound of loss of sisterhood. Well, the history, the unhealed feminine, unhealed masculine have pit us against each other, and women have turned against each other. So now, right now, is the time to turn it around, because liberation is really right here for us if we are aware. And wound of toxic masculinity. But also, women are also responsible. We have internalized misogyny as well. Wound of beauty and aging. So that is there's a lot of inherited shame about the body and the fear of aging, because that seems to be the value of femininity. So all this womb, there's so much more. When I start writing, they just start coming to me. There's so much more, so much more. The XIWoman core process is to, on a monthly basis, we work on one subject. And in this one subject, what we do is 3-step process. First step is we observe the trauma with no judgment. It's just, it is what it is. We observe the trauma, not to get ourselves re-traumatized, not to trauma bond, not to get back sink into our victimhood, feeling sorry for ourselves, for each other, and hating our perpetrators. But we just observe it and let it rise, acknowledge that it is there. Even it's not ours, it's somewhere we have carried on through our lineage. We observe it, let it arise to the awareness. And second step of the process is the shadow integration. And we need to take accountability and look at where that's in us we have perpetuated the programming of this wound, and what's our complementary frequency, what is our accountability, our responsibility. We need to take radical ownership. It's part of us. We don't condemn it. And of course, we don't relish it, but right now it's the time to neutralize it, to integrate it. That's the second step. It's coming, it's to own it, own part of us. Because when you run away from it, you're just gonna get more of it, remember? So the second part. Third part is the transcendence, it's expansion. And Mars will come in with his very potent XI frequency to take it to entirely next level. Any trauma has two sides. One is the dark side, one is the light side. For example, shame. On one side is shame. The opposite is dignity. So when we're working on this area of shame, we observe it, we integrate it, and in the end, we walk away a woman, a dignified woman. So that is the process. So each month we work on one core wound as a woman. And of course, as a result, men will absolutely benefit. So that is the core program, or I even hate to call it program. Program sounds so finite. Anything that carries so much code, so much light, it should be infinite.
Yeah, and Faye was talking about shame, and First of all, in nature or natural intelligence, why is there shame? Why do we feel shame? So shame, it does have a purpose. Like a lot of people want to get rid of pain, right? But pain has a purpose, because if you don't have pain, you put your hand on a stove, or you get hurt, you wouldn't even know that you're bleeding to death, right? Or you would know that your hand is just, well, melting away. So people want to move away from pain and shame and words of that nature. But you have to understand why natural intelligence created that programming in you to feel shame. Okay, so what we've done is weaponized all those words, all those negative words, like shame and guilt and fear. Yeah, so what we're going to be doing in these modules, again, Faye's going to be talking about it. I'll talk about, she'll be talking about, say, the human side of it. I'll be talking on, say, the science side of it, the logistics, just like we are today. And so in shame, very, very simply, like Faye was saying, shame is used to, say, manipulate you, distort you, pull you into, say, that pool, the depth of shame even deeper. If you've noticed how shame works, right? You go deeper into that consciousness. It's like you drown into that pool even more. The person shaming you is pulling you in to, say, that rancid state even more. In the XIWoman series, what we'll be doing is redefining shame in totally different. We're not going to eliminate shame, because shame is a powerful tool if used properly, just like anything else, just like hate, fear, and all that. What we do in XI is go, wait a second, why did natural intelligence create shame in the first place? Well, it's to shame you into bettering yourself. So instead of, like, you're in the center, you're in the present moment, okay, and then what shame is doing is like pulling you back, going back to your old garbage, getting controlled even more, whether it's your parents, whether it's a spouse, whether it's you, whether it's anybody else, right? Whether it's your government systems, literally, it pulls you back. And that's what they do in shame. In the XI world is like, no, wait, shame is like, it's repelling the distortions that you are. So you get shamed into pushing yourself into, say, a better, proper version. And it's very different than, emotionalizing shame, strategizing shame, basically duct taping shame so you don't feel it. So, it's like, no offense, girls, but it's like wearing a condom. It just doesn't work out. It's not good, right? So again, we're not numbing you down. We're actually going to be invigorating those emotions that are very powerful, where society has told you, no, stay away from those emotions. Those are bad, right? Go towards the good. But people have done that, and it hasn't worked out. So this is about resetting everything. And once you reset those definitions, um, you'd be amazed at how deep your healing goes. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to go into some really deep layers of everything and eradicate everything you previously know as truth. And you realize that the story of your life is not your life. And as a woman, we can come together and rewrite the story. It's actually a love story, because I want you to try to remember when the time you are falling deeply, madly in love with someone. Remember, you feel radiant, you feel expansive, you feel confident, you feel beautiful, you feel wild, you feel free, you feel anything is possible. You can just do anything. But do you know that all that feeling of deeply in love, you actually don't love that person. That person didn't let you feel that way. It's you somehow activated that version of you in their presence. So, XIWoman will remove outside presence, outside influence, outside validation or anything, you yourself will be able to generate all that magical frequencies. So you're feeling radiant, expansive, confident, wild, free, beautiful, limitless at all times. So your life is a love story for yourself. But nothing will change until you decide to make this change. Everyone who has a mediocre life has gotten lots of excuses. So no more excuses until you decided that you're done blaming, you're done being a victim, you're done performing, done pretending. Nothing will change but if you do decide to stop all of this, I can only tell you the future is limitless, and I experienced this myself. And
Yes.
in order for us to attain enlightenment, we have to undo and walk away from everything that once have helped us feel safe and help us survive. And this is the program that help you do it.
Yeah, and again, people think again, what's another word for safety? People look at safety, and basically, it's like I'm a victim, I'm incomplete, I'm weak, and I need something to save me or create safety around me. That's not the safety that XI or what Faye is talking about. That's what Faye exudes. Literally, is where safety comes from knowing who she is at a very deep level. An iconic, XI woman. That's where safety comes through. And you can see nowadays, the financial crunch, it's destroying a lot. There's billionaires that are committing suicide. They thought that billions of dollars would, say, create safety for them, right? So just like those billionaires and many women, or almost all women, and all women groups or causes or whatever that you've joined, it's like, oh, safety, we'll get more money. I mean, well, we'll show you how to start a business. Yeah, we'll do all that, we'll help you. But the deal is that you need to be an iconic identity, otherwise none of that stuff will work out for you, and it hasn't in the past. Take a look at your life, right? So do you want to go
Yeah.
through the
Mhm.
5 major phases?
Yeah. Well, first of all, whatever I'm talking about, all the process of mother's wound, and we work on the core wound and replace it with core frequency, that will come later on this year or maybe coming in 2026. That is some really, really deep soul work, frequency work, very potent. And to take you from here to here, this is a process of burning, and it's no joke. So to get you ready for this process, I don't care how long you have been doing XI or how new you are. Right now, I have a prerequisite. You have to complete the prerequisite to be able to access the next level of possibilities and the frequency. So prerequisite, we can start right away. It runs for the next 5 months. It's 5 foundation classes, and they're designed to get you ready for the frequency, for the intensity, for the understanding, for the depth, and for this work to actually be effective, and for you not to crash and burn in that process. So, for example, if the full XIWoman process is like a space program, and now the prerequisite is astronaut training. And Moss and I have put together everything that we learned in the last 13 years. Everything I wish that someone could tell me when I started the process. We're putting everything in this one package as the foundation, XIWoman Foundation. There's 5 classes going run on 5 months, one per month. And they are the first one is about XI feminine and masculine. And we will go through this energetic and also a human evolution of feminine energy and masculine energy, from fallen feminine, primitive masculine, wounded feminine, profane masculine, vengeful feminine, toxic masculine, to healed feminine and masculine, to conscious feminine masculine, to divine masculine and sacred feminine. So this is a whole historical and frequency journey to situate you in this place and time and space that finally we are ready to render in this dimension. So that's the first one. Each one of them is very, yes.
Oh, so yeah, the first one, like Faye was talking about, literally, getting rid of the, architectural, archetypes that we have, say, gotten locked into. That isn't true, right? So yes, Cynthia, I will be doing the frequency work for each of the 5 classes with Faye. for sure. But again, getting rid of the archetypes that we think we are, the identity, and moving into, say, a strong archetype. Again, not designed by fate, not designed by me or anything, but the natural intelligence that's around us all the time. Okay. All right.
The second one is the XI process of awakening. So transformation doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen with one meditation, one little event, one retreat program. It's a process of transformation. So we will give you a bird's eye view of how it's gonna be. So you don't get lost on the process during the process of awakening, because sometimes it gets hard. You're thinking, okay, that's it. I can't make it. Or how come this is not what I'm imagining? Because you're not there yet. What you imagine is over here. You're just right here. You got stuck in a little bit of detox. So we're going to go over the detox, the purification, calibration, transformation, transmutation. Everything will show you how it happens in upward spiral motion. So you don't get lost. You always have this higher awareness of where you're going and where you are right now. It makes your journey a lot smoother. So that's the second one.
Yeah, the second one, guys, just think of it as a bridge. Uh, it's a bridge of where you are now, society's identity or definitions of what women are, what your definitions are, and then you bridge. That's what transformation is in XI. You don't change this version of yourself. You transform. So the second one helps you build a bridge to go into, say, a totally different, say, environment where the definitions are different there. The environment is different there. It's more healthy for you. It's more nutritious for you. Okay. This over here, you've been, say, in the desert, right? You can't really grow and expand in the desert, no matter what you do, right? It takes a lot of energy if you do that. So this is about bridging that identity, right? Your identity, from going into a physical identity, more into, say, the access of your spiritual being, of who you are. Whole different set, whole different environment, whole different definitions, whole different identity. And this will help you, say, identify who you are at a much, much deeper level. And that's why, Faye, these are, again, these 5 foundation. Even if you just do the 5 foundations, guys, you'll be well off than most women, most humans in the world. But let's move on to 3.
Because those foundation class, we say it's foundation, actually it gives you such a high perspective of how life works, how frequency works, how you work, how our ego works, and how our perception consciousness work. So anyway, moving on to number 3, it's called spiritual misalignment and discernment, especially for women on the spiritual path. And there's 3 stages of spiritual crossroads. And as a woman, there is sexual manipulation, sexual power that's misused, seduced. There's spiritual narcissism, spiritual materialism, spiritual bypassing, and the seduction of the darkness, temptation, ego, and God complex. And there's signs and warning signs and ways of selling your soul, not knowing what you're doing, and also a little map getting you out of the dark nights of the soul.
Yeah, gosh, what can I say about spiritual discernment? Gosh, there's so many courses out there on, spirituality, being, what do they call that? She's queen, or what do they call it? Divine being, divine women, divine feminine, divine that. But those are just definitions, and you look at the definitions, and basically it's like it comes from a hurt space, and those definitions, they really don't work out really well. So in this case, what we're doing is, again, Faye and I aren't defining it. We're allowing you to help. Not allowing you, we're helping you to remember the true definition of what that connection is to a higher source. Okay, spiritual connections, or being spiritual, is not an outcome; it's a cause. I just want to say that again, guys. Or sexual goddess, totally, Jocelyn. Again, becoming spiritual or spiritually connected, it's not an outcome. It's not an end result. It's a cause of what you're doing. Okay. Highly, highly important. Most of those things that are out there got a half-ass right where they're going, yeah, I want to get, yeah, it's like, I want to be that. It's like, no, what do you have to do? What are the elements? What are the physics that you need? The cause of that is your spiritual alignment. Okay. That's really, really important to understand. So we're going to get into the details, obviously, in these core classes. Go ahead, Pepe.
Okay, so next one, last one is misalignment and discernment. We're working kind of with the dark side of it. And next one is called spiritual sophistication and refinement. We're working more with every aspect in the divine light. And there's a shadow integration, transcending darkness into light, where divinity meets femininity, and how we can walk in the middle and to be dominating both forces, dark and light, and the humility and power versus force, spiritual congruency, awareness, accountability. So,
Yeah, the fourth one is really, really powerful. This is, again, it's called spiritual sophistication and refinement. So once most people, again, they refine a distorted version and it crumbles, under the weight. Because again, the physics, the logistics isn't there. In this case, you're building a solid foundation on 3, and then 4 gives you an opportunity to refine the new version, the new definitions of what spirituality is about. Right. So again, you're refining your, say, logistics or your programming, your identity of who you are, which allows you to become more and more spiritual. It's not fake spiritual where you wear the right clothes, where you say the right things or whatever that's out there. I see you, I love you, and all those things, the right things that, I don't know, Faye, what I'm talking about, right? You say the right things, you say this mantra, and then it feels so good and heartfelt, but then you walk home, broken. Again, it's not about that. It's about refining who you are once you realized who you are, which is important. You have to realize who you are, who your potential is. And by the way, guys, this is a remembering of who a real divine feminine should be like, right? It's been genetically coded in you, right? We just have to remove all the distortions, and these core foundations will actually allow you to do that.
yeah. And the last one, number 5, is the XI principles and power tools. So right here, you learn what to do, what not to do, and how you're going toward the right direction, you're on track. You learn about frequencies. And frequency is the technology and medicine of the future. All this you might already know. We'll talk about consciousness, dimensions, realities, awareness, clarity, accountability, inception frequency, spatial referencing, pedestal. So you be given all the concepts, principles, and the tools to use. This is a full toolbox for you. Everything that you need on this journey of enlightenment, embodiment. Also, the process of burning, but you'll be protected, equipped, and as a very well learned with this wealth of knowledge go on your journey when it starts.
Yeah, number 5 is really, really powerful because again, it pulls everything together, as Faye is saying, and it really helps you align into your higher consciousness and really awaken, say, the feminine identity, the feminine courage, feminine security, feminine wealth, right? All those things, because it's not a man's world. If you put wealth on a woman, it should enhance that woman to be more feminine. But in today's society, it destroys you, right? So again, this is about building a strong identity of who you are. That is, 1, you're human, and then 2, you're female. So a human female. I know it sounds dry or and not so romantic, but we get to that core level of who you are, not based on Harvard reviews and studies and all that bullshit, but your original identity of who you were coded for, the highest possible self that you could be. Right? Again, so it's a remembering of who you are, guys. These courses and anything in XI, it's nothing to add on to you. that comes in the evolutionary process, by the way. But for the most part, peak performance or nurturing or regenesis is about healing who you are, basically taking all the diseases, all the distortions of who you are, so you can actually nurture or remember who you are at a very deep level. And then that's the foundational aspect of the 5 courses. And then what Faye was talking about, every month after that, once you finish these base courses or programs, they're prerequisites. You can't move on unless you finish this. You get into, say, peak performance, and this is where you start to understand, and like Paul was saying, noticing patterns, right? And so on, like that. So you start to see things like, I don't want to say like AI, but you start to learn, you start to understand how your reality is created for you and by you. And then when you do that, you go, gosh, I don't want that reality. And this is where you can again create fantastic opportunities for you, some things that have never been available to women, right? And that's very, very high level concepts, by the way. So again, we've got the 5 core programs here, and Faye, people were talking about the prices and so on, but Faye, you can cover that. But again, you've got the 5 core prerequisites that you have to go through, and it's once every month. You'll have homework and all that in between, and then after that, once you finish that, you'll get, we'll go even deeper into the core programs for you.
Or that? What is that? But
What?
anyway, yes. So again, the structure is right now, the prerequisite is 5 foundation classes. Everyone has to take. Even your seasoned XIer, you will still get so much value out of it because it's the culmination of everything that we have so far. Even Moss and I get a lot of it every time we go through the material. So 5 foundation classes first, and then once you graduate, you move on to the monthly core XI process for the core wounding to core brilliance frequency expansion. And if you are asking for prices, we are making them extremely accessible. I think each foundation class is like 20 some dollars. I don't know. The total is 111, but it goes on 5 months and 5 classes. So, and if you want to get them individually, it's 88, but together it's 111.
Yeah. So again, Faye and I, we've come to a point, that you obviously money is important, because that's the identity of success and so on. But it's really about helping and nurturing women,
Yeah.
and that's really the result. So that's why, again, the pricing, and you'll not only see that kind of pricing on, the women's course, but a lot of pricing in the XI domain as well. So again, this is the healing courses, or the regenesis courses, will be really accessible nowadays. So
Yeah. And no charging. I know lots of women have problem charging. That we'll go over it in the section of self-worth. And what I want to bring you are 2 things. One is this unnegotiable truth about you. You're children of God. What you are is pure source frequency. And another one is your unconditional worth. And that we'll all talk about and work on when we go into the core program. But on the subject of charging, over the years, we received different feedback about people don't like us charging because you're doing God's work. You're not supposed to charge. But for me, I charge for 2 reasons. One, it is a dignified way for you to value this work and value yourself. Number 2, it's an elegant way for us to keep doing what we love doing. So imagine if we don't charge, we're doing God's work, and we can only work so many hours. And for the rest of my day, I will have to take my children, go on the street, beg for food, shelter, and water. Is that a way to help people? right? But this goes without saying that we can have some more extensive conversation when we go into the self-worth and unconditional worth part later on. But right now, we're just looking at all of this information, the courses and the process. And I know we're working with thousands or millions of distortions over hundreds of generations. But right now, we have come to this point with one person in one generation over one lifetime with one decision. Everything can change. You can reverse everything. And XI has the power, ability, and the magic of collapsing time and space. And let me see what it means. So pretend this is the entire human journey, spiritual journey, or physical evolution. And right now, we're at this. This is where we are right now. This is where we are. And over here is all the past distortions, all the past programmings, all of our past experience, all the lifetimes. And over here is our ideal future, the point of enlightenment. Do you hear a bang really loud, Ross?
Yeah, it says Faye, Mighty Networks is beeping every time someone registers. So thanks for registering, guys. Uh, which is
Can we
really
turn it
beautiful.
off?
Thank you. Yeah. But I think that's what, so you might want to turn that part off. You close,
Let me see. How do I
just close
turn
the
it?
program, sweetie.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
Okay.
Thanks for registering, guys. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. You get to see the more of Faye, the real Faye, because she comes online here and there. Obviously, you always see the real Faye, but I guess more of the real Faye, which is really quite beautiful.
Well, anyway, thank you. It's always real whenever you see me. So right here is where we are right now at this present moment. That's the past distortions and past experience programming and all the past life right here. And over here is our ideal brilliant future, the full embodiment, full enlightenment. So XI has the power to collapse time and space, meaning bringing this point and this point all to this one instant moment of one instant enlightenment or awakening. And this I have experienced plenty of times. It's absolutely possible. So this program is a shortened without willpower, all those efforts and mantras, all those 1,000 years of work in the future, it can be happening. It's available to us right now.
Yeah, just some logistics, really. How do we register? I think you can just go to that link.
Register, I
Yeah, you
think
can just go to that link and it should be pretty easy.
I think so. The team, thank you so much for set it up so quickly, almost like overnight since we decided to change platform. So it's on Mighty Networks. I
It
think
is a new
the team
system,
will
by the way.
will post the
It,
link.
yeah, it's a new system for us to use, guys. So if there is kinks and so on like that, just contact customers and we'll refine the kinks. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for help us refining that process for us. Okay. Somebody else was asking, when does it start?
Okay, so because this new platform, we still need to polish, refine it. But our first talk, first foundation class is at the very last Sunday of June. And from that point, from now to then, we can answer your questions. Maybe we can host one Q&A session. And we're still trying to spread the words about XIWoman to outside of XI to a bigger audience. So right now we have about a month before the first class start. And after that, you'll have one per month because it's so much for you to integrate and work with. And it's not just one class, it's over. It's never over. We focus on one subject and we'll meet you where you are, but we'll never leave you there. You are keep expanding even after the class.
There are going to be replays, and
Mhm.
again, over the years, from what I've seen, like a 5 or 10, 15 minute session with me is worth decades worth of therapy. So it's you don't need more of me because I basically literally like restructure you more and more, and that's why Faye is teaching more of this class versus me. So that's one thing, but we do it in the month long because it's not about just giving you knowledge that rests up here. Okay, it's literally about integrating. So we will have homework for you, not homework, but a regenesis work for you. So throughout the month you'll be journaling, you'll be cataloging, you'll be doing whatever whatever that you're doing to again expand, again turning that knowledge into, say, turning that knowledge and having being an intelligent being to understand the patterns of that knowledge so it amplifies or turns it into wisdom for you. So again, it is a month long between sessions for you or between classes for you, but that month long is integration time because we are rewriting the history of human female, guys, and that's a couple 100,000 years. Okay, we're going to do it in 5 months. Think of it. You, like Faye said, 18 generations is over 1 million people, guys. Now, humans have been around for a couple 100,000 years. You are a product of that distortion. Humans as a whole, but we're just talking about women in this case. So think of it. So you're going to need some time to, again, start eliminating that identity. So it is really, really powerful. Okay. And some of you, by the way, you know what detox is. You got to let go of the old. Sometimes, we don't feel right, but I think this is going to be especially for the XRs, this is going to be an expansive experience. This
Yeah.
one, I just want, can I answer this question for Chris? As a guy peeking in, I hesitate to join this program since it's designed for women. What would men actually gain from participating? Well, Chris, I kind of talked about it earlier, but just again, guys, if you are a man, if you are a man and you are, say, being trained in on, say, to uh, what an XI woman is, basically the best woman that could be for you, Chris, what will happen for you is like, oh, I understand what an XI woman is. That means that you reflect that of who you are, and then you start to run as an XI man. So, Chris, there's going to be a lot of women joining this program. They're going to be looking for an XI man, okay, because they're not going to settle for anything else. Okay, guys. So, I would highly suggest, right? And again, it is going to be more women focused, right? And and in the future, we'll get into the XI Man series, by the way, as well. But we just want to start this off because women have to be solid first before men can say get
Absolutely.
nurtured. Okay, so that's why we're doing it. But for those guys joining, they're going to be ahead because there's going to be a lot of XI women that are high XIQ, and they're going to be looking as like, damn, that guy's not good enough. They're not going to be hanging around with any. Oh, that guy's rich. They have to be highly intelligent exponentially, right? They have to have a high XIQ. All right, Chris. So that's what's in it for you, my friend. Right? It's going to be
I
a great opportunity for you.
I
For
didn't think about the possible dating. Like there's so many women and they'll be looking for XL man. I'm thinking for a man to come into this program, actually, men's programming has so much of female distortion in it because every man is born of from a woman, and there's so much programming, so much frequency in the nurturing part of it, and he can undo the distortion that's from a woman that's a woman's doing or has woman's imprint on it, or the distorted feminine frequency if there been more the women will tend to raise more feminine men to feel safer, so the men in the program can undo those distorted feminine programming and becoming more of the man. I would think that's a very big benefit for men. They'll become very have this sophistication and discernment about what frequency to adapt to own and what is not theirs, and they'll delete.
So as you, again, as a man, as you reflect back on how you've been treated by women, how you've been raised by women, and all that, you start to again come into your own space, your own identity of who you are as a masculine, and heal those feminine wounds. And then as you heal those feminine wounds, again, you start attracting a high XIQ woman. Right? Will there be an XI dating app as part of the program? Okay, we're not going to be doing it, but I believe somebody is.
Someone's doing it. We're working with them. I think we're on the consultant. We have the consultant capacity for that project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not our program. It's not our, we're just inputting. Again, like Faye said, we're consulting
yeah,
on what they should design in there. So it'd be different than most dating apps.
yeah. So, and also Mas and I worked in XI for about 13 years, and now we realized we only want to work with people who not only want to change, but want to change. Otherwise, if you don't help yourself, there's nothing we can do. It doesn't matter how potent, powerful the frequency is, nothing will change for you. And this work is very potent, it's very effective. And my life forces, my work, and your time, your energy are precious. So I think if you're not ready, please do not proceed, at least not now. But if you are ready for the intensity of this work and the next level of possibility and human excellence, welcome to XIWoman and join us. And here we come together and walk each other home. Thank you.
Great job. All right, guys. All right, this is going to be very, very exciting, guys. Thanks for being here. Feifei, awesome. A lot of the vibrancy. Obviously, love you as well. These young women here, just absorbing, just ladies, imagine that if you heard this when you were their age, you have a chance now to rewrite, go back to a youthful time, rewrite that, right? And then imagine your children. You're an XI mother. Crazy, right? In one generation, you could literally transform the world. So, all right, guys. Again, thank you so much. Notice what you notice. Notice all the details.
Have a wonderful evening. Bye.